Hey everybody, welcome to Rendezvous with Cassidoo. I'm going to try to do this from now on. I have a newsletter that's been going on almost 9 years now, in case you don't know about it. It's a weekly newsletter with tech news and updates and stuff. I'll get into it in a second. And I was thinking, if you don't feel like reading, I can tell you about how I wrote it or like some behind the scenes stuff, and just kind of talk through the newsletter each week. And so, that being said, this is my newsletter, and this is the issue that went out early this morning, late last night, depending on your time zone, and let's talk through it. So first of all, this quote from Barbara Scher I thought was really good. Imaginary obstacles are insurmountable, real ones aren't. And I read that and I was like, yeah, that's right. Because like so many times when you are worrying about something, it's because this thing is just so big. And then as soon as you actually see the thing, do the thing, then it's not that big of a deal. So a really silly example is sometimes it takes me ages to like answer a really simple email. And then when I finally do it, it takes 2 minutes. And I'm like, why did that take me so long? It was not that stressful, but the buildup, it exists. So anyway, I thought that was a good quote. Um, I always write this little intro. I try to like change it up from howdy y'all to hey friends or something every week. That's weirdly challenging, you'd be surprised. But anyway, the web links of the week. This first one was building a view counter for static sites with Supabase and Astro. I thought this one was really cool, particularly because I don't know if you were into web dev back in the day when like everybody was putting view counts on everything on their websites. I had one back in like 2007. And it was just a thing that you always did, but now in, like, the era of mostly static sites and stuff, I think there's a lot of commentary that we could get into on, like, the death of the comment section and stuff. But anyway, one thing at a time, I thought this was cool how this person solved it to have, like, "Look, they have some view counts right here," and they go through some code on how they built it, how they used Supabase, the structure between, all of the different technologies to actually implement it. Anyway, I thought that was a good article. It was fun to read. The next one is Interop, which Interop, in case you don't know what that is, it's all of the browsers and just browser companies coming together to talk about like where things should be the same in browser technologies. It's interesting and their reports are really valuable. And so anyway, I kind of liked that they called 2025 the year of convergence because it just means less like things where it's like, this is exactly what you have to do for Safari. This is exactly what you have to do for Firefox, etc., etc. But anyway, this is kind of just the status of everything. It's kind of cool to see how close everybody is with the different technologies. I really like just seeing which technologies they hit on. And particularly, I was excited about anchor positioning because I've dealt with some things to make anchor positioning work correctly across browsers. And view transitions, I'm just excited that those are becoming more of a thing because when they're implemented well, web apps look so good. Some of these other ones, I mean, they're all really cool, storage access and WebAssembly and stuff, but I admit anchor positioning and view transitions, oh, and backdrop filter, I was particularly excited about those. But anyway, seeing where things are, look how close everybody is to being like completely the same. That's amazing. So anyway, it's very, very exciting to see all of these lines converge. And yeah, I really liked going through that one. This next article, Shades of Halftone, y'all. I the Maxime who writes this blog writes things so beautifully. I just kind of like scrolling through the blog and if you do the buy me a coffee, that's kind of cool how it's put in there. But anyway, this blog post goes through like what halftones are in general and how to actually render it, the math behind halftones. And I just thought it was really interesting to see the step-by-step math of like what it is to create the grid of halftones and set up the cells. And these interactive demos are so neat. Look at that. It's so cool. Anyway, it was really fun to kind of go through all of this, and I won't scroll through the whole blog post because that was about a fourth of it. It goes really long, but it's really, really neat. And this last one here is a GitHub repo where it's just for logo visuals. I don't know if y'all have ever had to implement putting a bunch of logos next to each other on a website. the worst. And it involves kind of just like some annoying math to make sure like the more square logos look somewhat compatible with the really wide logos and that sort of thing. And I just really liked how they did this. It's how to solve a really specific problem. And there's a deep dive too, where you can actually read like how this is solved, and you can kind of go through it and see the math behind it. But anyway, the fact that there's a repository for it is great because you can actually use the component. I actually have a couple projects that need this, and I will be implementing it myself. Okay, after the web links, things that interested me this week. So the first thing was just talking about this channel. I'm trying to upload more, trying to be somewhat strategic, really just kind of building the muscle of uploading again. And so just talking about other videos on this channel, it's been really fun, I admit. I haven't regularly made videos in a while, and so it's been fun to do that. And then also I talked about my web app FancyGist, where you can check out the repository. You could drop a star if you want. But long story short, this app is a markdown editor on top of GitHub Gists. If you want to check out the app itself, you can log in with GitHub. I already have, and you can write markdown. So if you'll excuse the clicky keyboard here, I could say, hello world, do your regular markdown editing, add a list, hello, hi. But then also, if you wouldn't mind me deleting that, I have slash commands. Also look at this animation, bloop. And so it's a fun, just like markdown editor. Hello, I can add a table, do various things. And then you can also, oh, let me show a code block really quick. This code block, because it has a code mirror under the hood, it has autocomplete. So I can do a little return cake. I don't know, cake. I don't know. I'm just making something up. So anyway, you can preview that, and it's kind of cute. You got some syntax highlighting and everything. You can save this. I just implemented it so you can download this as an HTML document or a PDF instead of just Markdown. But then also you can copy the link and it saves it at fancygist.com/username/whatever. If you wanted to open this actually just in GitHub Gists, you can. And this is just the exact gist that I just made, as you can see, returning cake or whatever. But you can replace the gist.github.com with FancyGist, and it just works. How about that? So anyway, that's FancyGist. So I had a really fun time building that. And once again, check out the repo. I put some good first issues in there in case you want to contribute as well. In terms of our sponsor, the sponsor this week was Kness, and Kness is a career coaching service that's really, really great. I've worked with the team there. They're really fun. I know a few different subscribers have used Kness for just job hunting, for figuring out your role in the workplace, stuff like that. So they're a really good org. For the interview question of the week, last week I had people move numbers to the end of an array, and it was a cool question. You can check out the answers here. I'm not going to go through everyone's name because there were so many. Now for this week's question, it's a 2D grid of numbers and expanding that and zooming in. I was playing with maps and I was just like, oh, it'd be kind of interesting to pretend you're zooming in on a map, but it's an array of integers. I thought it'd be a neat question, so check it out. And if you do send in a response, you can put it in a link anywhere. You could even add it to the comments of this video, and I will be sure to credit you next week. And then finally, for cool things around the internet, there's some fun things. This one I thought was fun from All Things Considered on NPR. The seismometers at the end of the Earth have names. Spoiler alert, they're named Dr. Bob and Storm T, I think, or T Storm. But anyway, you should check this one out. It was a good listen and a good read. For the keyboard link this week, I always try to include some kind of keyboard link. This one is a 40% keyboard called the Vanagon. And I don't know if you know, but in the keyboard community, this past week was 40s week, where it's all 40% sized keyboards, where 100% has like all the keys, including a numpad. 40% has 40% of the keys. You could see how small it is, but I thought this was pretty cool. And the Van keyboards, I always think it's interesting how they only have numbers 1 through 6, but it's good for gaming and stuff. This next one is on how long job postings stay open, and I thought it was particularly interesting to just see a little bit of data. It's pretty short. It's some data of about 500,000 job postings and seeing what is the median length of time that they're open and making some assumptions on how quickly you should apply. It was an interesting short post that I thought was worth looking at, especially if you're a job hunter. Now, this next searching for birds website is beautiful. It's gorgeous. I'm not a bird person, and I'm actually not going to show you very much of it because I want you to look at it yourself. But just look at the little details if you hover over the birds' faces and just all of the analysis they do. It's so cool. I'm truly going to just leave it at that. It's really, really cool. And I hope you like looking at it because it's awesome. And finally, this last part of the newsletter where I'm pretty sure a lot of readers just skip straight to it, but it's okay. I get it. It's fun. It's the joke. And this joke I thought was really funny where it was, why was the programmer upset with the tester? Because the tester was mocking their code. If you don't get the joke, when you make tests, you tend to mock functions. Like that's the action of making a pretend function to test the real function. When you explain a joke, it gets funnier. Anyway, that is all for now. Have a great week. Be safe, make good choices, and water your plants. Bye.